Clutter isn't just about the piles in your home, it's about the weight you've been carrying in your nervous system, your habits, and the good girl rules you were taught to follow. When you shift the patterns underneath, decluttering stops feeling overwhelming and starts unlocking freedom you didn't even know was possible. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible, leveraging podcasts and Substack. Today, we are chatting with Dorota Koldo. Dorota is a decluttering mentor. She helps women break free from lifelong clutter, overwhelm, and good girl conditioning. After decluttering 70% of her belongings in just 6 months while working two full time jobs, she discovered her superpower: creating clutter free systems that actually last. With a unique mix of nervous system regulation, mindset shifts, and brain based strategies, Dorota makes decluttering not only doable, but lasting and even fun. Through her work, she shows women that decluttering isn't really about the stuff, It's about healing their relationships with themselves and creating lasting freedom at home and in life. Welcome to the show, Dorota. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. What an amazing introduction.
Well, it's all you. So let me ask you, what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
I absolutely love this question, and my answer is going to be super short is make sure that we feel good. And if we feel good and we when we follow that good feeling thoughts, everything around us changes, our vibration changes. We start attracting people that are also in that same vicinity of like feeling good, and the better we feel, the better the world becomes.
Yeah, that's so true. In the old days, they used to tell you don't be selfish. Well, I think that's totally wrong. You should definitely be selfish, because the more selfish you are in that you're looking after yourself and your own self-interest, the happier you are. And the easier it is, if so long as you're kind to others while you're doing this, um, it makes it better for everybody because your
Yeah,
cup
for
is full, and
sure.
it just like you're happy and you want other people to be happy too. And it just makes the world better instead of focusing
Yeah,
on all the
for
negatives.
sure. Yeah, I think, just piggybacking off this, I think being selfish got a really bad rep, because it's not a negative thing. It is very positive. As long as you're not being like an a-hole or like very bad person or whatever, that's just like
Mhm,
completely different thing. But actually prioritizing when I'm happy, people are happy around me, right?
mhm.
And that's just how it goes. So being selfish is a good thing.
Yeah, and it really does actually come back to your environment and having clutter in your environment. My mom, when I was growing up, she was like, three things. You could only have three things on this any surface in your house. And it used to drive me kind of crazy. But at this point in my life, I'm like, yeah, three things means there's space to appreciate what you've got out, and it doesn't take a lot to clean around it. And I think that was really her thing, was she didn't want to clean a whole bunch of knickknacks and stuff. And she never really had a lot of knickknacks when I was growing up. We moved a lot,
Yeah,
but
for sure. Like having less is definitely sort of the gateway of like having more time because we don't have to spend cleaning that much, for sure. But like if we're going back to like being selfish, um, like there is a I don't really want to like go too far right off the bat, but definitely like I would say that we can be called selfish if we say no to getting something from, like, let's say your mom, right, would come to you and say like, oh, I want to gift you all those things, right? And then you say, I'm good, thanks. Like, I don't have use for that. I don't feel aligned with any of those things. They're your things. And then it's very easy to be perceived as like, oh, you're selfish. Like these are the things that I cherished, right? So it really comes down to setting those boundaries of how much can we say yes to and how much it's like too much. Like my nan, she's blessed her 85, and the past like 10 years she's been like preparing to die. It's just like one of the things, right? And she's been giving away so much to my mom mainly, and my mom's like taking everything, right? And it's just the house just gets filled up. So like we live now, like I moved back with my parents about 2 years ago now, and like they have this huge house, right? New build, huge house, but it's just getting filled with stuff. And the more the stuff there is, the more there needs to be done around it. So there needs to be a boundary there.
It there's this perceived thing between value and trash, and people struggle with that a lot. It's not that you can't value something, but you should recognize that things that are dear to you aren't necessarily dear to your children,
Hmm.
and you should be able to say, "Hey, it's okay to let this go." A and I've experienced this recently. My father-in-law passed, and we had to clean out his possessions, and though the man lived with us for, like, 18 years, he had collected a lot of tools and, um, junk. A lot of it's just junk. It was cheap junk, and my husband, who was like, "Well, we must take everything," and he had this boat. It's a wooden boat, it's alignment, and, he had restored it about, I don't know, it's probably been 20 years now. It actually was in the water, but it just continued to deteriorate, and my one of my sons actually took it back because someday he's gonna work on it. It's
Hmm.
like, someday is never gonna come. You should just, like, burn it in your backyard. Have a good bonfire. I I don't I'm really kind of particular about what's junk and needs to just go, and what few things I really want to appreciate and have in my environment.
Yeah, there's just so many like layers to what you said, right? First of all, I would say like don't burn the boat in the backyard. I don't think it's like safe. But definitely, what you said about like what's trash and what's treasure, right? Um, I think it's only to the person who owns the things to say, but also as people who, let's say, maybe potentially will receive those things, we can set the boundary there and say, like, you know, I understand that you cherish this thing, that you wanted to keep it, but I don't find a place in my life for it, like right now at this stage of my life or whatever. These are very hard conversations to have, right? Because there's just so much people who generationally who have collected so much stuff. So like our parents or like grandparents, right? Because of the era that they grew up in, and everything was, very expensive, and everything was hard to get. So they kept collecting things, and they kept those things because what if I need it again, right? I mean, my parents, they have like million and one things what if I need it again, because they grew up really, really poor, really poor. So every single one little thing needed to be kept because of the different reasons. So it is a big conversation here about those things. But what I always like to look at how I always like to look at things is from the perspective of, you know is this helpful for me right now in my stage of life? And it's okay to keep things. The way I teach decluttering, right, it's everything's about nervous system safety first, right? So if you have to think about what to do with the item, you're not ready to let go, right? So that's where sort of I start, right? All the easy things first. And if you come across an item that is sort of like a not a flick of the wrist decision, then skip it, because it's way better to skip the item and move on to the next pile or the next room than to, introduce shame and judgment and inner self-criticism just because you were not able to get rid of that item, right? So that's where I would start for sure.
Yeah, I like that. It allows you to be able to have a say about what's in your environment rather than feeling like you're being judged for for your decisions, that they have to be, that there's a right and a wrong to any of the decisions that you're making around what's cluttering up your life. And sometimes it's a matter of just looking at things and saying, why am I hanging on to that?
Mm,
Because there could be an emotional attachment to it.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to like what's the saying, pop the bubble here, but every single thing that we have emotional attachment to. With It's like a spectrum, right? It's like almost non-existent when we think about like obvious things, or like very very strong when, when we think about either photos or like your wedding dress or like whatever something, right? But when we go back to nervous system, right? The way the method with nervous system regulation works so wonderfully is because it's right with like our biology, the way our brain works, or the way our body works. And when we look at the nervous system itself, like what it is, right? Nervous system is, what's the function of the nervous system in our body? It is to keep us safe, right? So we, I would say, like, just to put it like super super simply, we developed like our nervous system got created like million years ago when we still lived in caves, right? So everything that was inside of the cave for us was safe. That was a perceived safety. Like we knew exactly what's going on, right? And if we translate it to today's date, this is literally everything that is familiar, right? And everything outside of the cave was a perceived danger, right? Potentially back then, life threatening situation, right? And we still have that part of the brain. It's just down there, like at the base of your skull. It's called reptilian brain. It's tiny, tiny, but it's still there. It's responsible for those primal instincts that we have, right? So taking this back to today, everything that is outside of our, it's called either comfort zone or familiar zone. There's like so many names to it. But everything that is outside of that, I call it unknown, right? That is when the nervous system is going to react. Okay, because our nervous system is there to keep you safe, it's to keep you alert, right? So now, when we take it to decluttering, right, you decide, okay, I want to declutter my home, I'm ready, either downsizing or moving to a different country or whatever, right? Whatever the reason is. Or you just wanted to like have less. Uh, and if you ignore completely the function of your body, the function of your nervous system is going to pump the brakes really, really fast on that because it's something new that you want to do, right? You don't know the outcome, you don't know how to do it, you don't know like the nitty gritty to every single step, right? Because you've not done it before. And your nervous system is going to go, well, what do you want to do? Like, hello, you didn't ask me, what's going on? No, I say no, right? So it has to be on board. And to make it on board, we just have to regulate to it. What that means, it's really simple. We just have to expand the unknown into known. So it's like, when you go to the gym, right? Or when you train to run a marathon. On the first day of training, you don't just go and run a marathon. right? No, because you would just like your legs would fall off. Right? Or like,
At the
when
very
you
least.
yeah, when you go to the gym, you don't just like lift a super heavy weight, right? You do it gradually. And it's the same with decluttering. That's why it lasts and it just becomes easier in that way.
A- And it's not such a big project if you can do it like in tune with your nervous system and let it be a process instead of like the weekend chore.
Yeah. It's not so much like the destination. I know it's like a cliche. It's not destination, it's the journey. But it is because, to burst everyone's bubble again, you will be decluttering until your last day on earth, right? Only
Yeah.
because, and people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to, be done with it. Well, yes, but your life changes, the situations that you're in changes, your mood, your what you like, what you don't like change. Maybe you move countries or, different seasons of life. And, when your kids grow old and move out, not grow old and move out, then, you're not going to need the baby blanket anymore, right? Um, so yes, we will be because we bring stuff in all the time. So we will be decluttering. And once people understand that, I think it's like sort of like a permission slip to know that it's going to take time, but actually time is just such an irrelevant measure of success, right? It's just it's not something that we should be looking at. The only thing that we should be looking at is just sort of going back to what I said at the very beginning is how do you feel? Do you feel better every day because you are, doing the things?
And there's a certain amount of you don't have to own everything. And I think as a
Mm,
society, we are moving more towards minimalism, which I think is a great thing. I think it's helping the planet even, and not having to have like one of everything. Everybody has to have one or two, or in some cases you end up with like 10 at some point in your life when you're like you've been given all this stuff. I talk about tools a lot, but who needs 12 screwdrivers?
my dad apparently.
I know. Well, my father-in-law needed 12 and we already
Yeah.
had 12. So now we have 24. So we're trying to give them to our kids. And our kids are like, I already have 12 screwdrivers. I don't need any
Yeah.
more. It's like
I know, it's
instead of just like
crazy.
having maybe one of the basics, and then for the big things, you just share them around. You have a pool of people, what my kids and I, we have like chainsaws and some bigger things that we have one of them and we share it.
Mm.
Whoever needs it can just go get it from the last person who had it. And it's it, it makes it brings people together in community
Yeah.
when you
Mm.
have
Love
when you
this.
have communal things that you're sharing. And different people go through different phases in their lives, but you were talking about baby blankets, and I'm guilty. In my basement I have baby blankets from my children. My children range in age from like 43 to 21, and I have baby blankets and karate belts and all kinds of things that are just like I don't need to hang on to those. I could give them to the DI, the Deseret Industries, or the Goodwill, or whatever you have around your area. Um, or I could just give them away. I, I don't need them anymore, but most people want new stuff. They're bringing a new baby in. They don't want the old blanket that's,
Mm.
20 years old now. They want new because they've got this new life, and people will throw them a baby shower and they'll bring them more new stuff. So they'll have lots of stuff in their house.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. You know what? Like you touched on again, like so many levels. Like I want to address one thing first, is that, you know, we get to choose what works for us, right? There is like literally no rules, right? If you want to have like 20 screwdrivers, then, and if that makes you happy, go ahead and do that. If I want to have none and then come to you every like other day and borrow it, then yeah, it's fine as well. So there is like, that's the thing, right? Because we have been conditioned to follow those imaginary rules, right? And there is no rules. I always say to my clients, like, burn the rule book. Like, you get to decide, right? And oh my gosh, there's just so much here that I could like, talk about. But the other thing that I want to say is that, you talked about like moving towards minimalism and more, right? But people want the new stuff, right? But more and more people want to like minimize what they have. And I think I think there is like buying frenzy as well, like Amazon and like COVID. Those two things were probably, like for me at least, very unhelpful because I got myself into like literally there was, I remember like this one just before Christmas, right? Um, so I know like we England we call it Christmas. I think you call it like holiday season, right?
It's Christmas, yeah.
Christmas, yeah. So I remember Amazon would deliver something every single day, right? And I was like, I stopped myself in my tracks one day and I was like, literally, I feel like I have to order more, right? I have to get another thing, right? That was just crazy. But one of the reasons why we have so much clutter is because we keep buying, right? So yeah, decluttering is sort of that's for the backlog. But what about the future things that are coming, right? If we collectively, right, just think about what's coming in, because we struggle so much with what's going out, right? We just have like all those thoughts like, what if I need it again? What if, I spent so good money on it? Or, maybe one day I'll use it, maybe someone will need it. Like, there's just so many things going there. But we don't really often think about like what's coming in. Very often it's just an impulse buy, right? You walked past the shop or like you went to Walmart and there was like a display of nice things and you're like, oh my, I have to get another of whatever, right? So really thinking about like how can we, and that's how we can also help the planet, because we have at the point of purchase, we have a responsibility, right? Because this item, and I did I think a reel or on my Instagram posted that, we are looking for like the best way to declutter. But the reality is that most of it is going to end up in the landfill. And I know like it sounds bad, but if you look at the statistics of how much stuff is actually getting recycled, upcycled, whatever, most of it is going to end up in the landfill. Even like I had no idea, but like a few years ago, I found out if you order something from like a big clothing company, right, and delivery is free, you can get it like on Klarna, like 30 days later payment, so you don't really pay for it until you like return the stuff that you don't want to keep. Those things that you've returned, they're not going back on the shelf. They're being disposed of, right? Even though no one has worried, like you just ordered it to your house, it was too small, too big, whatever, or you didn't like it, you decided to like return it. Those returns are not actually being sold again. So there's just so much there. So we can like sit here for 15 hours and talk about like why and what to do, and I think the most important here part is to make those individual decisions for ourselves, right? Because we cannot think for other people, we cannot take
Mhm.
responsibility for other people. um it's a hard burden to carry if we were to do that, and it's also not fair for us or for those people, right? So I think taking it back again to nervous system, to how simple we can make it, is, I always say, build trust with what you can do first, because you have all this clutter because A, you don't trust yourself. That's why we keep just in case items. We buy stuff because we want to emulate someone, so we don't believe that we are worthy enough to be ourselves. There's just so much there, right? We can go really, really deep. But when we start decluttering and you look at the items that are super easy, and like the easiest thing is trash. Uh, and I always laugh because we have so much trash around our houses we don't even know. We literally don't even know, right? And like you said, you have that baby blanket or like karate belts. Keep them for now. You know, uh, there is literally no reason to get rid of the things that are making your heart go like, oh my gosh. If it's like just a little bit expensive, then you can like get rid of something and see how it feels. But if it's really like heavy decision, there's no point. What's the point? Because you're just gonna make yourself so upset and then you're not gonna touch any of it later, right?
Probably, what would you say is the easiest place for most people to start in the decluttering world?
The easiest is regulate first. I know it has nothing to do with decluttering, but it got to be done. It has to be done because if we don't regulate, if we come to decluttering with anxiety, with panic, with like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like I have to do it. I don't like this, frantic. Regulate first. There's loads of ways that you can regulate, but the most simple ones are slow down your breathing, right? Because if you're breathing really, really fast, your nervous system is already on the alert because it thinks, oh, maybe the saber-toothed tiger is chasing you, so I must protect you, flight, fight, or freeze, and fawn, right? Those are the responses. So the freeze would be procrastination, right? So regulate first, slow down the breathing, put on the song that you like, um, go for a walk, you know, um, chew a chewing gum, like eating in general is like also regulating for nervous system. Those are very simple ways that we already do anyway, like you have to breathe, right? So do that. And, you know, it doesn't have to take long. It's not something that has to take like hours or minutes, even literally take five to six deep breaths before you start. And then, what I like to do is like put my hand on my heart and say like, okay, I can do it. I can do it. Like hype yourself up a little bit, right? Maybe shake a little bit as well to get rid of that stagnant energy. And then have a look around. There isn't, just want to sort of answer the question straight away. It's like there isn't a perfect place. There isn't. Anything, how do I want to say this? Anything that you start with is progress, is great, but I would encourage people to start with the place for the brain, for the dopamine, to start with the place that you see the most. Because if you spend like 10 minutes in this space and you made your whatever space, let's say desk, right? I'm sitting at my desk now. I walk into the room and the first thing I see is my desk. I would spend 10 minutes here as a priority probably over anything else in the space because I have 10 minutes. Let's say I have 10 minutes, right? Then I wouldn't suggest doing more because life happens, right? Your husband's gonna call you, your kid's gonna call you, or like, mom, can you pick up whatever, my child from preschool, and then you like have to leave, and then if you create like all that mess around you, you are like, next time when you come back, you'll be like, oh, I forgot what I was doing, right? So 5 minutes, because you can extend the time easily. If you don't have 5 minutes, do one. Like I started with 1 minute a day, you know. That's for the first week. I just did 1 minute because I didn't have time, nor did I have like that mental capacity to do more. So I would, going back to like my desk, I would look at my desk and see, okay, what's trash here? Well, clearly, like I had ice cream just before we hopped on the call. So, that's still clutter, right? That's still Whether it's to throw away, donate, whatever, that's all. I call it all decluttering. Tidying, decluttering, that's all the same to me. So I would take this to the trash can. I would maybe, see what else is. My desk is pretty clear because I cleaned yesterday actually, but I would see what else is easy, because the more easy of those decisions you make, the more your nervous system is going to, like, A, calm down because nothing scary happened, and B, you'll be like, oh, I can do more. 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 And then all of a sudden, it's like 3 months later, and you don't recognize your house anymore because you went 5 minutes a day, because you went 10 minutes a day, rather than over exhausting yourself doing like a 4 hour marathon on Saturday. That never works. It works for one Saturday. That's it.
It's not sustainable. It's
Mm-mm.
and it makes cleaning easier if you will make the effort to go around your home or your space every day, make a commitment to tidy up or declutter a space. I Whether it's like your desk or your nightstand or your bathroom counter or your kitchen. And then when it gets time to actually, like, there's I have two thoughts. I was a cleaning lady
Me too.
in my youth. So, and just in terms of, you can either clean every day a little bit of space, like a a tip for people. I taught my kids, and it's saved me like hours of headaches. Um, when you're taking a shower, when you get out of the shower, clean the toilet, because all the steam from the shower makes everything come up.
Hmm.
And so it's really easy to just wipe it off versus, and I just use toilet paper to do it. But, you
Yeah.
know, then when it comes time to using whatever chemicals you want to use to really clean your toilet, it makes the job much faster and easier and less gross.
Hmm.
And if you have a lot of people in your house, if everybody knows that little trick, then the toilet gets cleaned every day and not the same person is having to like deal with it, which is
Yeah. And it compounds, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, you are so right, and the funny thing that you mentioned being a cleaning lady, because when I was at the worst with my clutter, I had a cleaning business and it was a very successful cleaning business.
Mhm.
So like the shame of living sort of this like double life was, for me, was like really, it was really, really heavy. But you're right, it's like when I like my whole life, I always either my room was like right now super, super nice and tidy, right? Or extremely, extremely messy. But it was only when I actually got rid of all of that stuff, my space doesn't get messy anymore, right? Yes, do I clean every day? Do I tidy every day? No. No, because that's not the point. I'm not that kind of, like, my mom, yes, she's like so much energy. Like, she would walk past something and pick it up. I would walk past something and leave it there until like I feel like doing it, right? So there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with you if you do that. But the whole point of decluttering is, like you said, I don't want to be spending 5 hours cleaning my bathroom, for example, because there's just so much mess in there, right? I want to do it in like 10-15 minutes max, right? Um, but if I don't do those little tiny things, and it doesn't have to be done every day. When you are in the midst of decluttering, like heavy, heavy decluttering, I
Mhm.
highly suggest doing every day, right? At least for first 3 months, do it every day, until you really get into that habit. And then what happens is, actually, you'll be decluttering without even knowing that you're doing it. But also, the other thing that I want to mention is, you walk around, like you said, right? You walk around your spaces every day, let's say just 5 minutes. It actually makes a huge difference. Let's say every day 5 minutes. Today I'm in the kitchen, tomorrow I'm there, next day I'm somewhere else, right? And then let's say you have, I don't know, to make it easy math, right? Because I'm not good at that. You have 7 spaces in your home. So every day you do one space, right? So then on Monday, you go back to the first space, and maybe there's a little bit more to do there, like, or maybe actually you notice something that you were not ready to let go of on the first time, right? On the first round. Because that's the thing with decluttering, the way I teach it with the nervous system, because if you do it consistently and you sort of like expand your capacity to make those decisions, eventually you will like go down to your basement and you will say, okay, baby blanket, time to go. And there will be no emotion, right? Is this going to happen within a month? Probably no. Maybe 2 years down the line, maybe 20 years down the line. But there are other spaces to look and carry for, right?
And as you get older, your closet. And the sad thing
Closet
about
is like the
clothes,
worst. There's like, for me, I always like to look at the closet of like, closet is where all my dreams went to die. Right? Of like, I'm gonna lose
overbuying.
weight, or I'm gonna wear this, because I bought this dress because I wanted to, I don't know, I saw it on someone and I wanted to emulate her. That's why we buy things a lot of time. Um, so yeah, closet. If you want like a quick tip of how to approach the closet because it's like bursting out the seams, regulate first. Give yourself a good pep talk. Maybe put a music on and like dance for like 2, 3 songs, just to pump yourself, and then open that closet and have a look at like the most obvious things. Again, is the same, right? Every space you go to is the same. What is the most obvious thing? And then maybe if every time you do the laundry, you have a look at the item, the thing, and decide whether you want to keep it or not. But don't expect yourself to um don't expect with decluttering and just all together, right? Lower the expectations. That's probably the biggest tip. Give yourself permission to take as slow as you possibly need to, because it's okay. No one's going to shout at you. No one's going to, you know, I don't know, make you leave the house or whatever. No one's going to like kick you out because you took it too slow. No. It's, you are the boss.
And it's okay to throw stuff out. It's okay to
Yeah.
throw out clothing.
Yes.
The amount of clothing that gets donated is incredible. It's like mountains of stuff that it gets sent off often to other countries,
Hmm.
and it's their landfills end up with these clothes in it.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah,
crazy.
like I said, going back to what I said previously, we like going out of our way to find the best quote unquote way to declutter, but the reality is most of it's going to end up in the landfill, right? I had actually an argument the other day on Threads with someone who said like, no, it's not true. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, but you're wrong, because the
Because it
statistic
is.
is the statistic. Like, unless you are this like unicorn that who literally every single thing, whether it be a crisp packet or uh, whatever, plastic, metal, paper, everything, like you in your own environment, recycle and make sure it never, ever goes, even stuff after recycling, then after they recycled, then and they're going to end up in the, like, they're not just going to plastic is just not going to disappear just because you like removed it from your house. But
Often
going
they
back
both
to
go to
the,
the same spot anyway.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
just a
but exactly, but
scam.
yes, yeah, for sure. But yes, throwing away, I always say this, okay, tough love here. Right now, your house is a trash can, whether you like it or not, right?
Mhm.
Whether you love the items or not, like, it's every single item is at the stage of trashification, right? Is that the word? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So your home is trash can, and at the same time, you are depressed. Your self-worth and self-esteem and self-love is just doesn't exist, right? Um, you hate yourself, maybe. I know that these are very hard words, very difficult words, but that's what my clients tell me when they start working with me, right? So if I'm giving you permission and you can come at me on my social media, I'm just going to block you anyway, right? That's what I do. Like anything nasty or I don't like, I just block. I don't want this energy in my world. I'm really
Mhm.
protective and of my space as well and
Good
my
for you.
people.
Just
Um,
decluttering.
yeah, 100%. But throw away the stuff because it's better for you to start throwing away the stuff, even if it's perfectly recyclable. It's better for you to for like a week or 2 weeks to throw away the
Mhm.
stuff and start shifting that mental um heavy energy, and then go crazy at upcycling, go crazy at donating, whatever, right? Like in my house, we are we are actually quite bad because in a good way, because all the food waste is going to the compostable bin, or like I go and bury it in my garden, and my soil is just so much better now. The water, when we run the water, when you go and take a shower, first you have like cold water. We
Mhm.
actually collect that water in buckets. I have a bucket in my bathroom. We all do in all the bathrooms, and we collect that water and then we use it in the garden. All the paper that we have that goes to the compostable bin. So we really try as much as we can, and we buy
Mhm.
very little things, right? I don't remember last time I bought like a piece of clothing. Until it rips, I wear it. But it's only because I have this capacity right now in my head that I can do those things. When I started out, everything just went to the bin. Everything went to the trash.
Mhm.
The first 2 weeks, maybe. But then again, I started with trash. So,
The first part of the process is trash identification. I,
yeah.
you know, used to joke with my kids. I had a couple boys that lived in one room, and it was just like, you guys have a really bad problem with trash identification. They were like, oh, I must hang on to this little
Yeah.
thing I got from McDonald's. I said, no, that's trash.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
designed to be trash. It's sad, but that
Yeah. It's everything. Everything is designed to be trash because it is going to be trash.
they
Um,
want it to be trash. It was made to be trash so that you would
yeah,
buy the next thing.
the next thing. Exactly, exactly. Every single thing, I'm happy like in Europe now, we've introduced as like European Union, we've introduced more and more regulations that like, for example, companies. So it got to the point where like you could only use your washing machine like 2 years because it would break the minute the warranty ended, right?
Mhm.
That we had a cordless vacuum, the Hoover thing, the
Yeah.
smart one, and it only worked 2 years. And it was just like I spent so much money on this and it only worked 2 years because they made it in a way, they programmed it in a way that the minute the warranty expires, not the same obviously, but like it's designed to work from fast switch on for like 2 years. But right now in Europe they have changed laws. um so they make companies care for the products more and create the products, make products that will last much longer, which is good. Um, but also, there's just so much that we buy. Um, there is one company starting with T and ending with emu. That yeah, yeah, I have thoughts on this one. But that's the
It's just
reality we
all
live in.
junk.
Mm,
You're save your money and buy one better quality thing.
yeah. My ex-boyfriend used to say that, cheap is expensive, right? Because
Yeah.
you buy like one cheap thing and then you have to buy another one and another one and another one and another one, right?
Yep.
Like for example, like I bought, oh gosh, 8, 9 years ago, my Timberland boots for winter. And at the time, it was, to me, they were so expensive, right? I think I had to like save up for a few months to get them, but it was 9 years ago and they almost look brand new.
Mhm.
Almost. Um, so, but normally I would just probably buy new shoes every day, every year, right? Um, but I'm not condemning people buying things because I still like new, nice things. I still like buying things. But for me, the question now is not, who do I want to emulate by buying this thing? Who do I think I'll become if I got it? You know, or like the other question I like is, if someone saw me wearing it or having this thing just purely off of this fact, would I feel like, oh, I'm cool, right? So no, I don't really look at those things anymore. For me, it's like, okay, my trousers like ripped. I need a new pair. Or like, my pen ran out. I need a new one. Like I have one water bottle that came free with whatever. I don't remember, but I have one. And until it like is unusable and goes super moldy, because those bottles tend to, then I don't see, coming from a shopaholic, for me, if you told me 5 years ago that I would say those things, I'd laugh. Yeah.
So I know you coach people on how to declutter their lives. How does all that work? Is it like one-on-one? Is it group? Is it courses?
Yeah, there's few points of entry into my world. You can come to my Instagram and have all of my awesomeness. No, I'm joking, but like all the stuff that I put out completely free. Um, there's also I have this like little Spotify podcast. It's only on Spotify. I don't really like advertise it because it's mainly for people in my world, which is guided meditations for decluttering. Like specifically, there was like 16 or 17 guided meditations that I take you really deep into subconscious mind. So here's the thing, right? Another thing that I do also is my one-on-one coaching, and you have 6 months proximity with me, and it's a deep, deep transformation. And in that container, I help you rewire those subconscious beliefs, limiting beliefs, old programming. But if you can't do the one-on-one with me, that's why I created those meditations on for Spotify. I started uploading them to YouTube as well, to make them more accessible to people. So imagine, going deep into the forest with Harry Potter wand, and it's just like magic happening there. And working with the subconscious mind. So that's also a free resource. Another resource that I have, which the listeners here are specifically going to have access to, I think you'll put them in the show notes, right? It's a
Mhm.
3 simple moves, your decluttering jumpstart. So the way how to uh, sort of regulate first before we before you declutter. And there's also one of the steps is what space to choose. So going sort of back to the question, what space in your home to choose to like get the best results out of. And also I have Declutter Your Home, which is my course. This is again very similar to one-on-one coaching, but it's a self-paced, very short audio lessons, because I want you to be able to like also have life, because sometimes sitting at the computer and going through the curriculum of the course tends to be like this barrier of actually completing the course. So it's audio. You have a ton and ton of nervous system regulation tools in there. I truly believe 80% nervous system regulation, 20% decluttering, actual decluttering. That's like a perfect combination. So that's sort of what I have available.
Awesome. People can find you at.
They can find me on Instagram at Dorota Kuldo Decluttering. That's DorotaKuldo. Decluttering. Mainly Instagram. If you search me on Facebook, Dorota Caldo, you'll find me there as well. But I'm mostly active on Instagram.
And people can find your 3 simple moves, nervous friendly decluttering jumpstart at dorotacoldo.podia.com/3 simple moves, correct?
Yes, yes, exactly. If you
Awesome.
type that in, it will take you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dorota. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
To learn more about Dorota and to get the 3 simple moves, the 3 simple nervous system friendly moves, um, to jumpstart decluttering, please visit dorotacoldo.podia.com, the number 3 simple moves, and to just follow her and be in part of her world. You can find her on Instagram at Dorota Decluttering. And we'll be sure to put those links in the show notes below. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one, be sure to reach out to us at support@heartlifecoach.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this with Substack. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.